can't just walk the walk. You gotta talk the talk. And the world know that Miss Juicy, baby, got the best fit game.
The cast of Little Women of Atlanta is talking about how the show impacted their lives financially, emotionally, and physically years after the cameras stopped rolling. As we now know, the show received a lot of backlash for encouraging negative stereotypes and using its actors for cheap drama instead of honoring their genuine lives.
You want to be on reality TV. And, you know, like I said, I never thought about being on reality TV. But I always thought about being in movies. You know, I really want to be in a movie where I can just be myself as Tanya, or not even as Tanya, as Rebecca, or another crackhead mom or something. You know, like I just want to play in movies that make people feel something. You know, and I don't want to be in a movie solely for something. I really would want to be a part of the deal out of the box of that being all we really are used to or seen as is the joke, you know, because I drive the car too. And car insurance is a lot, and like, why can't I be in the Geico commercial when they charge me for nothing? You feel me? Or like, you know, why can't I be washing the vessels on this stuff? Because
according to reports, it was much worse than that, and Miss Juicy has witnessed it all. She had to work in a library on a regular basis, endured the toxic atmosphere on the show, and even joined a full cult, you know.
Own backyard. They may preach volunteerism, but investigations, including one by the Today Show, charge that the World Mission Society Church of God frightens people into joining with predictions of doomsday and presses for big donations of money. One woman said the church in Ridgewood, New Jersey, made her stay there all the time, discouraging her from...
Yes. According to reports, Miss Juicy and other cast members claimed that the producers pressured them to create controversy. They reportedly faced pressure to stage fights or face being kicked off the show. According to reports, the cast was informed that their screen time and, eventually, their position on the show would rely on how much drama they could provide. This manipulation frequently forced the women into awkward situations, roller coasters of emotions. The issue with it is that, although many of the fights and disagreements were manufactured, some of them turned into actual altercations, leaving the cast members emotionally damaged and occasionally physically hurt. On a few occasions, people have really brought up how ridiculous Minnie's battles with the twins, particularly Andrea, were. Yes, according to reports, Miss Juicy and other cast members claimed that the producers pressured them to create controversy. Get screen time. They reportedly faced pressure to stage fights or face being kicked off the show. According to reports, the cast was informed that their screen time, and eventually their position on the show, would rely on how much drama they could provide. This manipulation frequently forced the women into awkward situations, roller coasters of emotions. The issue with that is, although many of the fights and disagreements were manufactured, some of them turned into actual altercations, leaving the cast members emotionally damaged and occasionally physically hurt. On a few occasions, people have really brought up how ridiculous Minnie's battles with the twins, particularly Andrea, were.
One hospital first, went to the emergency room. I was completely out of it, so I didn't even know where I was going. And so once I went to the emergency room, and they had to, because I couldn't swallow, because I was under for so long. Oh, wow. So they had to put a feeding tube down.
Miss Juicy's sister created a GoFundMe page at the time to try to ease the burden of medical and home expenses, but many found it a little perplexing that after years of being the Little Women star, she needed to solicit money. This simply demonstrated what some people had been speculating for a time, that she was broke after the event. It's fantastic that she found a regular job, but in comparison to what she had expected to make from being a reality star, there was a period in 2023 when she was working in a library simply to make ends meet, star in a program that brought in millions of dollars. Thanks to her, the library job was unquestionably a decline. Evidently, Miss Juicy's situation deteriorated to the point where she joined a cult. Yes, she became a member of the World Mission Society Church of God, WMSG, which holds that God, the Mother, is also divine, and that Anang Hong is the second coming of Christ. The church places a strong emphasis on evangelism, the observation of the Sabbath on Saturday, and the celebration of specific Old Testament feasts. In fact, it has expanded quickly. It has members all over the world, but it has also been criticized and controversial, especially for its unconventional practices and beliefs. Fans of Miss Juicy have now claimed that she was actually sharing pictures from the meetings sometime last year. I'm not sure if she left the cult or not, but the pictures are no longer on her page. However, many people felt that it was understandable that the cult would target a woman like Miss Juicy, who was obviously weak. The cast members, including Miss Juicy, had to endure numerous hardships in addition to being underpaid, and it was depressing. Can you believe, for example, that the show was obviously for little women? The cast's physical needs were not met, resulting in mishaps and injuries. The production knew going into the show that they were going to be working with people with dwarfism, so it's really absurd that some sets couldn't accommodate them and they refused to make any adjustments. In one case, a cast member reportedly slipped and fell during filming, and there was no medical staff on site to help. Anyone who watched the show also knows that it was well known for its ferocious arguments and feuds. The problem is that all of the altercations you witnessed were purportedly not natural.
Couch has recently heard some stories about social media coming out that you're pregnant. Could you please lay the law straight right now?
All I can say right now is I am pregnant.
Here we go again. Oh, yeah. No, you can say that and stick it up your ass.
I'm not one of these niggas up something. I do not have a prison to you or anybody else.
Okay, you ain't not nobody.
Evidently, I'm somebody because you keep trying to be like me.
Be like you, nothing. Look at me.
I didn't know what to do.
Have you always had this hatred for each other?
I just want her to be herself. I mean, the only reason why I call her out on her lies is because I know her lies. Right? I know this man. Not one time she says, I got many.
Yes, according to rumors, Miss Juicy and other cast members claimed that the producers pressured them to create drama get screen time. They reportedly faced pressure to stage fights or face being kicked off the show. According to reports, the actors were informed that their role on the show ultimately depended on how much drama they could produce, and this manipulation frequently forced the women to go through awkward emotional ups and downs. The issue with this is that, although many of the fights and disagreements were manufactured, some of them turned into actual altercations, leaving the cast members emotionally damaged and, in certain situations, physical harm. On a few occasions, people have really brought up how ridiculous Minnie's battles with the twins, particularly Andrea, were.
If I would have known this, I would have kept my ass at home. I heard that to me out. If I really do disrespect for 59, I just hope she can forgive me.
Yes, I'll start packing.
You want me up here?
I'm good.
I am not looking forward to calling back to my mom. She knew this was going to happen, and she warned me. I know she's going to get on my case and not listen.
People claim that she put herself below those twins since she had low self-esteem and believed they were superior to her because they were Hispanic, had pale skin, and had straight hair. Minnie served as their protector and put up with a lot, according to followers. For example, the twins used to make fun of Minnie when the other women read her down. Additionally, she pretended to be a maid after Andrea gave birth, but she was expelled due to a man who abused Andrea.
So, it's very hard to say this, because I just appreciate you being here, you know, I like you being on here also. Lonely told this came back.
Right.
But now that this is like that, him and I have been talking, and we want to have our own privacy. So,
Sadly, a lot of time passed, and the cast members acknowledged that they found it difficult to accept her, passing especially after watching her funeral in the last season. It was allegedly so crazy that the production didn't even let them fully mourn, and poisonous. However, reports indicate that this is precisely the level of toxicity that the makers intended. In addition to the fictitious altercations, it is said that cast members were tricked into making fictitious friendships. Yes, there have also been claims that the show made up romantic plot points that led Toto, some cast members' actual infidelity and heartbreak. It has been reported that one cast member learned of her partner's adultery after witnessing it occur on the television. The small twins then experienced their fair share of love drama, with Andrea being involved in a turbulent, on-again, off-again relationship. In the meanwhile, Monique Cachette's union and subsequent separation became a major plot point, but having millions of people analyze her private life had a devastating emotional cost. Speaking of which, I also recall a scenario on TV where Juicy was humiliated and turned down by a man who had attempted to court her, as if he had no interest in her at all. It was heartbreaking to see the Queen of Atlanta fall like that.
Everybody has a unique way of showing how much they love and care for a person, so
I just want to let you know that I love you. Oh my God. I poured my heart out to him, and he is so...
Juicy was aware that the man didn't want her, that she was engaging in an embarrassing plot, and that he was only interested in the money. In essence, what was occurring was that the performers experienced emotional breakdowns, anxiety, and despair, with little to no support since the producers reportedly put ratings over their welfare. A former, according to accounts, one of the cast, members even checked herself into a mental health center during a break in production because she couldn't handle the strain, while another crew member even compared the working circumstances to a lawsuit waiting to happen. Actually, when it comes to the problems with mental health. In fact, Miss Juicy has been candid about the difficulties of celebrity, such as the hate mail and trolling she received online. She highlighted how episodes frequently came with a barrage of audience criticism, forcing cast members to relive their most vulnerable moments. For some, the experience was so horrific that they have completely cut themselves off from reality TV, the world. This would, after all, explain why someone like Miss Juicy would simply quit and lead a typical life. Not to mention that she once dated Ricky Smiley, which severely harmed her.
yes, sir.
Now, I dated Juicy for a little while. That Juicy for the morning show, Little Women. No, you did. Yeah, just for a hot. We went to Applebee's. That was a short relationship. That didn't last. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. You know what I'm saying? No.
Indeed, Miss Juicy experienced it both during and after the concert, and I can understand why a cult may believe she was a suitable candidate. Miss Juicy has been quite active on her TikTok accounts lately, and from what I can tell, she is doing well. However, what do you think of everything she has been through? Was the reality show a waste of her time, or did it hurt her? Please share your thoughts in the space provided below. Indeed, Miss Juicy experienced it both during and after the concert, and I can understand why a cult may believe she was a suitable candidate. Miss Juicy has been quite active on her TikTok accounts lately, and from what I can tell, she is doing well. However, what do you think of everything she has been through? Was the reality show a waste of her time, or did it hurt her? Please share your thoughts in the space provided below.